some pretty impressive finishes, so I decided to revive this series. So, Carlos Prates knocked out Leon Edwards in the second round. It was pretty vicious. It was pretty spectacular. I like Edwards. I also like Prates. This is likely the end of Edwards' career. None of that was really logically connected. Anyways, first, Prates has insane power. So in terms of the power factor, that was always going to be a possibility. In fact, that's how I predicted the fight to end. Now, if we talk about chin, Leon is not super durable. There was little to no anticipation. So although Edwards, again, this arm was up guarding, he had a long guard, but he was simply moving backwards in response to Prates moving forwards. In terms of the specific punch, it didn't seem like he anticipated it, because he didn't shift his guard or anything. Now, he was moving backwards, so had Edwards been moving into Prates, or had he been stationary when the punch connected, he probably would have been knocked out a lot worse. The punch landed on the jaw, so the target was there. That's always where you want to aim for if you want to score a knockout, because the jaw acts as a natural lever. And the punch, it touched the chin, and it cleanly snapped back Edwards' head. However, it landed near the end of its range. Like, for example, had Prates been closer, and he really got a lot of follow-through with that punch, where he connected with Leon's chin earlier in his punch, again, the knockout would have been a lot more vicious, but he already extended his arm most of the way and then clipped Edwards at the end of his range, which, again, the fact that he's also moving backwards, Edwards, and he gets touched at the end of his range, and he still gets dropped like that, yeah, Prates just has nuclear power. I've never seen power like this at certainly welterweight. Now, what else? Also, there was 0 cumulative damage prior. So, for example, Edwards wasn't rocked before the sequence happened. He hadn't eaten a bunch of punches, because that increases your susceptibility to being knocked out. This was just a clean one-punch knockout. Essentially, Edwards was done after the first punch landed. I don't know that he could have recovered. Now for the verdict. By the way, I think I understand what happened, because Leon Edwards full-on looked like the smiling emoji as he went down. And right before Prates connected the follow-up punch, Edwards did try to shield himself with his hands. And then after Prates is pulled off of him, he looks like he's still smiling. I understand what happened, though, I think. So oftentimes when fighters are dropped or hurt really bad on the feet, they'll just smile. I don't know exactly why. Well, it's a tactic to show your opponent, like, okay, you got me, but I'm not really hurt. So Edwards probably underestimated how badly he was hurt. So Prates drops him. Edwards is probably still there, kind of. So he just starts smiling at him, like, oh, good one, you got me, but you're not going to finish me. Like, I'm okay. I'm still there. So that explains the bizarre expression Edwards had, because I can't think of anything else. And Edwards is smiling, and then Prates lands the follow-up shot. I think that just fried his brain. So he's still smiling after he gets... I'm not sure if he was unconscious, because, again, he's looking at Prates. Well, maybe he was smiling to show that he wasn't that hurt. And then Prates follows him up, and that knocks him out cold. But his eyes are still open, and his face is just frozen in that expression. I don't know what was going on there. But it seemed like he was also looking at the ref and moving his hand a little bit, and he seemed to recover quite quickly. I mean, he wasn't up, obviously, but I don't know how long he was actually out cold. But that was just bizarre. So maybe he was thinking like, okay, I'm just going to smile. And then he gets hit with the follow-up shot, and his brain is just stuck in smiling mode. I don't know what happened there, but that was so bizarre. That was very strange. I watched this sequence back many times. Anyways, in terms of the brutality, 8 out of 10. Oh, I should have changed this. This was from another slideshow. Not decent hit. I mean, absolutely brutal KO. But in order to get like a 10 out of 10, it's like you knock someone out and they're completely dead out cold. Or you knock someone out and then you follow up with a bunch of follow-up strikes. That would be like a 10 out of 10 in terms of brutality. In terms of skill, 7 out of 10. It's not like Prates caught him with some really intricate setup. It was slick, though. I mean, he moved forward, and then he just clipped him with his left straight, and it went right through the guard of Edwards. And again, Edwards using that long guard, kind of like that that lazy defense a lot of strikers do. They'll just have a guard on one side, their lead arm is extended, and they'll just move backwards. Against fighters who have really good footwork, are good at cutting angles, and know how to rapidly close a distance, like super athletic guys, or guys who can match or even beat your reach, that's just not going to cut it. So like 7 out of 10 in terms of skill. Pretty skill. I mean, Prates landed right on the chin, and Edwards is a good defensive striker. Usually he has good eyes, good distance management, so you can't give it anything lower than that. And in terms of the aesthetics, 8 out of 10. I mean, Edwards has never been knocked out, but he hits him clean with the shot, follows it up. I mean, he hits him clean, Edwards drops. Prates like walks over him, and then he lands up the follow-up shot, and then he walks it off. So, like a typical brutal Prates KO. In terms of the final verdict, the status of this knockout will be, it will be part of Prates' highlight reel, and it's going to be part of just highlight reels in general when it comes to MMA. But there's nothing about it that stood out in terms of the skill and brutality that makes it like knockout of the year contender. But it was still a really solid KO from Prates, and it further just builds his aura. So that's pretty much all there is to say.